there, folks. Are you passionate about democracy and concerned about the rise of authoritarianism? I'm Joanne, Kevin's wife, and I've seen him give everything to this work. That's why Coffee with Democrats matters, lifting up stories, building connections, and keeping democracy strong. So tune in every Tuesday at 7 p.m. for 30 minutes of conversation with elected officials, candidates, and Democratic influencers, only on Coffee with Democrats. So join me in welcoming the Executive Director and host of Coffee with Democrats, my husband, Kevin Dawson.
Good evening and welcome to Coffee with Democrats. I'm here today with a good friend of mine, Connie Eckstein. She is a good friend of mine. Let me pull her up onto the screen. And good evening, Connie. How are you doing?
I'm great. How are you doing?
I'm doing wonderful. Hey, we're going to have a great conversation today. I want to talk to folks about how I met Connie from the very beginning. We've both been involved here for about the last 6 months with a Precinct Work Group. Mm-hmm. And our whole purpose of doing that was to try to increase the voter turnout for Democrats and get people excited about being Democrats. It's been really fun working with you, Connie.
Yeah.
I had no idea until you started telling me. You always got a little bit of humor from you, but I had no idea that you're a true comedian.
Yeah, I do improv and stand-up. So yeah, in my spare time when I'm not doing, Democrat stuff. But yeah, it's been really good to be part of that working group. I think we're doing important work. We have a product, which is a precinct officer's handbook.
Right.
And just to give a plug for the meeting on Sunday at 3:00 for the Cleveland County Democrats, Kevin and I will be doing a presentation to kind of give a 10,000-foot view of the handbook.
Yeah, just a very, very brief view of it, but they gave us way more time than what we wanted. So yeah, we'll probably cut that pretty short because it's still a work in progress. It's not completely finished, and we did do a little what do you call it, where you do a little sample survey. Didn't get real good reviews. Evan said, well, we might want to reconsider how we do this. So we may have some revisions before we put the final product out. So
it's going to be a work in progress. And once we get it out to the precinct officers that will actually use it, then we'll get some really good feedback, I think, on it. But I'm hoping that they all appreciate the efforts.
Right. Well, before we get started too far, I need to allow you to go ahead and introduce yourself.
Okay.
And tell us just a little bit about your background. But before we do that, I'm gonna throw some things out there, and I'm gonna work on your comedic side a little bit.
Okay.
Connie is a heroine to me. She has really done an outstanding job in the last few weeks of doing some really positive activism here in the city of Norman. As everybody knows, we've had a very serious situation that's been going on ever since Trump has been elected, and it's even getting worse to the point this last week. The young lady was killed up in Minneapolis, and we are now doing both No Kings, but we're doing No ICE rallies and protests. And you organized a protest. It was an ad hoc protest, not really a big deal, but it turned out to be phenomenal. Tell us about this protest that you put together. I mean, you organized this thing, and it just exploded. And it's like people have been waiting for this. And with you stepping forward, like I said, you're a true heroine. You really are doing everything in your power to fight for democracy and fight for civil rights.
Yeah. So back up to a week before this past Sunday, I just felt like I needed to do more. I mean, we're doing important work with our working group and stuff, but I felt that there was more to be done, and there hadn't really been anything in Norman for, since the No Kings rally. Right. I may be wrong on that, but that's, my take. So I'm on Threads, and I just, put out there, I'm going to go to the Rock Creek Bridge over I-35 at 2:30 and have a sign and demonstrate, and a lot of people on Threads, they said, gosh, if I'd known earlier. So I'm not, my first lesson in organizing is give people time to respond.
Right.
And so I was the only one out there for an hour and got a few car honks and things. And then a lady saw me from the interstate and came around. And so we talked for a little bit. And she said, I've been looking for a way to get involved too. And I said, well, this is just my idea, and it doesn't feel like you're doing much.
Right.
So then I said, okay, I'm going to be out there again on Sunday.
Last Sunday.
Yeah. And, but I was posting it earlier in the week. And then the murder happened.
Right.
In Minneapolis. And Indivisible Norman contacted me like, hey, can we, piggyback on this? And I was like, I'm sure, And so with me advertising again on Threads, pulling in those people, and then through the Indivisible website or Facebook group, we had 260 people show up. And it was awesome because that was enough for people on both sides of Rock Creek Bridge. It's one of the newer bridges in Norman. And so it's got all of the safety features, that you could ask for.
Right.
In terms of being protected from the traffic and stuff. And everyone was in such a good mood. We had 2 instances of Trump supporters showing up, but they just made a little noise and then took off. So, but it was good, and I'd like to see it, continue.
Right. We can't just do it one and done.
No.
This has got to be a continuous protest that is done, and I think you've got plans tell us your plans on what you have planned for it going in the future.
So I'd like to see us get enough participation that we can actually have 2 locations, and I'm going to suggest the Main Street I-35 bridge,
right,
because it appears to be protected again from the traffic. We want to keep safe at all costs, right? And also the Rock Creek Bridge, and there's parking available. It's a little bit of a walk up to the bridge,
right.
But you can park at the mall and walk to there and stuff. So I think if we got, if we could get a lot of people to show up every Sunday, and it was only an hour. That's all we did. And I think that one of our mutual friends actually said, I think that's a lot of the reason why people came out. It was only an hour.
Very short time.
Planned,
yeah.
And some people stayed longer. Some got there earlier. It's all good.
And if all you got's 20 minutes, come out for 20 minutes.
Exactly.
During that 1 hour time frame. Don't feel like you have to stay for the entire hour.
Yeah, bring your kids, because that I think is important for them to be aware of what the situations are and stuff, and teach them safe rules on how to do this. But I'm just me doing this, but I think a lot of people are looking for somebody to just say, hey, let's go do this.
Right.
And then that's the cue they've been waiting for. I heard Oklahoma City had their demonstration at noon on Sunday, and I heard their numbers were 500. So we had more than half of what Oklahoma City drew.
Exactly.
Which is very, very cool, to me, for Norman.
Right.
I know we had numbers I heard for No Kings was 1,500. So the interest is there and stuff.
Right.
So if we start making a plan for every Sunday at 2:30, show up out there if you can. If you can't,
And we know that things are going to continue to get more ignorant. So there's always going to be something to protest. I mean, every single week. I mean, you were telling me about an incident up in Detroit at the Ford factory today that I didn't know about. But tell us about what you saw on that one.
Well, there's been posting on Threads of a video by TMZ, and it shows Trump. He's in Detroit at a Ford factory, and he was walking across some kind of a balcony type thing, and I guess the workers were below, but all the cameras were focused on Trump. And a guy, one of the workers, called him a pedophile protector, and yelled so he could hear it.
Right.
And he was pointing, and then he threw in the middle finger.
Right.
And I was like, well, that's real classy for the president.
Yeah.
But let's talk about how the Minneapolis mayor, threw out an F-bomb and how awful that was. So,
well, I hate to say this, but the adjective that's been coming out of my mouth on a regular basis is the F-bomb on a regular basis, more so than any time in my life. I use the F-bomb more than I use a comma, it seems like, because it's just so frustrating.
It is. It's a measure of the frustration, which I think is sad. I think we're in the moment.
Right.
But I'd like to see us get back to some civility.
Yes, exactly.
But it's going to take years. We may not be around.
Right.
It may take that long. So,
but it may go faster too, just like we saw at the end of World War II when Nazi was taken down and the denazification process.
Yeah.
And I'll say this out loud because this is going to be every morning I do a coffee with Kevin segment every 7 days a week. And part of one of my upcoming Coffee with Kevin segments is going to be talking about the actual war that we are in right now. It's the social media war. Yeah. And guess what? I believe that we can win the social media war. They have won so far. They've won the battles, but we've stayed in it. We've stayed involved. You're seeing things like Coffee with Democrats coming out of this, things that are coming around that I think we're seeing more young people involved. Yeah. That was one of the things that I needed to talk to you about too, about this event that was at the bridge. I heard so many young people were showing up, very young people in their teens and 20s, early 30s, that are very concerned about what's going on. And they wanted to be there and be in that moment and show their support and actually be with people that are like-minded to understand that they're not alone.
Yeah, it was a really good range of ages. There were several families of boomer, parents with their, 20-year-old, 30-year-old kids, with them and stuff that came as a family, which I thought was fantastic.
Right.
And, and I think it shows too, there's, boomers get such, it's like the boomers' fault, and the boomers all voted for MAGA. Well, no, we didn't. No. And when you have an event like No Kings, or you have an event like we had at the bridge, you see that there are people, from all age groups that were against what's going on right now. So,
and to bring up what you were talking about, that this whole thing about civility. I was at Walmart today. I needed to get some gas so that my wife can drive my truck or her truck tomorrow to work, and I wanted to make sure it was filled up. But while I was there, a gentleman drove up. He couldn't get his credit card to work. Small car, so I thought I was feeling generous. I don't know why I was feeling like I'm tired of being angry all the time, and I want to do something for somebody else. So I stepped around and I started I used my app and started the gas for him, and I paid for it. And this gentleman was, he was like, no, you can't pay for my gas. I don't want your money. I said, no, you're not going to take my money. I'm just going to give you some gas. And we bantered back and forth, and he let me fill up his car. It was not a big deal to me. It really wasn't. But I thought at the very end, I'm just going to let him know that I'm a Democrat. So I said, he wanted to know what he could do for me. I said, would you do me one favor? If you're in the situation, would you help a fellow Democrat out? And the guy almost got tears in his eyes. And he goes, how did you know I was a Democrat? I didn't know he was a Democrat. And then the tears in his eyes was because he said, I thought I was all alone.
Yeah. There's on Threads, there's a effort to identify the blue dots, which I see on your banner. You talk about the blue dots too. And so, some people will post sometimes, hey, I'm a blue dot in Oklahoma. And then we all weigh in and say, I'm in Norman, and then people from all over the state. And it's like they feel that gives them some connection through that social media thing. But yeah, I think there's some kind of planning and organization we need to do to really being in this very red state,
Right.
that we need to explode out and cover all of the state and find those people that have had it
Right. Right.
with everything and give them some community and things. And I don't know how to do that. I don't know what we would do, but
But we're
I think
seeing,
it's worth throwing out to your listeners and viewers,
Yeah.
and let's get something going.
and I know that we're seeing more counties getting involved.
Mhm.
County chairs starting up, and the county parties are starting back up in different places. So we're feeling good about some of those. We're not doing it fast enough. We need to be in all 77 counties. We need to be doing something and reaching out to those people and getting them connected, the blue dots connected with each
Yeah.
other, so that they can establish the party.
Mhm.
Even though they may be in the extreme minority, that's okay.
Yeah.
The idea is we can still be in the extreme minority and still help one another to change democracy and improve democracy from where we are right now.
Yeah.
Because MAG has been in Oklahoma for almost 20 years.
Yeah. At least, yeah.
So
Yeah.
this whole thing that is going on, I think Oklahoma can actually be that state when we start seeing major change take place in Oklahoma.
Mhm. That's a thermometer for the rest
That
of
will be the
yeah.
thermometer for the rest of the state.
Mhm.
And I think we're almost there. I really
Yeah.
do. I think we've made improvements election after election since 2018.
Mhm.
We've seen steady improvements. We should see more people going into the legislature this next time here in the state of Oklahoma. We've got a first-time opportunity to get a Democrat governor elected.
Mhm.
We've got a very good opportunity to have a lieutenant governor in place this year.
Mhm.
I'm excited about this year.
Yeah, I think if we can get people to understand that they're looking at single issues,
Yeah.
and so there's focus on our trans neighbors. There's focus on women's health, and it's like we have to look at the whole picture here, and we have to vote. We got to quit voting for these candidates that spew the hate,
Right.
because it's hurting everybody, So,
Well,
and I've noticed. I went to the store today, and I've noticed grocery prices on some produce is starting to scoot up. So
it's
things that were $4 for $5 a week ago are $4 for $6, for example. So.
not getting any better out there.
No, and that's one thing that we can rally around. I guess that's trying to focus on the commonality that we all
Right.
have bills to pay. We all have food to buy. We have gas to put in our cars. And, focus on those kinds of things, and maybe we can build a community. And then those other issues, they still lie out there, but it's like,
Well, I think we need to spend just a little bit more time talking about the precinct handbook that we're working on.
Yeah.
Just give us just a hey, look, we're both on the same thing. I could sit here and talk about it, but I want to give you the opportunity to talk about our precinct work group and what we're developing. And so talk to us here for about the next 5 minutes about what we're doing with that group.
Okay. So from my perspective, I was drafted into the group by Evan Taylor. He's a lawyer in Norman. And after talking to him for a little, he's like, we need to do something to get things, strengthened up. So I said, well, that sounds good. I'll be on board and we'll see. So then we added Peggy Stockwell, Suzette, forgetting her last name. And
I'll look it up.
And Josh Babb and Richard Bowman.
Bonhoeffer,
I should have rehearsed this a little bit.
Yeah.
And then Judy Godwin, and so it's a relatively small group. And Jamie Shelton, the Cleveland County Democrats chair, would pop in from time to time. But we just developed what is this book going to have in it? We've got all kinds of things like how to hold a meeting, because we discussed, and maybe people don't understand how to hold a meeting, this basic rules of order and that kind of thing. We talked about a new concept for strengthening precincts by putting them into groups that we call clusters.
Right.
So you have a strong precinct that has their officers and they've got a lot of active Democrats and stuff. They're adjacent precincts, let's get that cluster working so that they help each other and they have
Right.
a support network, where they can call each other up and say,
Yeah.
hey, how do we get whatever they need done? So it's a training manual. It talks about terminology, like what is a precinct officer and what do they do, and all that kind of stuff. And then also we provide in the appendix a toolbox of sorts for some different forms that they can use that for their purposes, or websites to go to for more information and
Right.
things like that. So I think what we put out is, I think it's like 80 pages or something, but certainly you're not going to sit there and read all the way through it, but it's a good reference point for the precinct officers that want to, build up their precinct and get all of their Democrats out of their houses on election day,
Right.
and get out to the polls and vote.
Right. Right. And help each other along, because I know that the largest demographic that we have out there is independents.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, we've got to get in contact with the Democrats so that they're not leaving the Democratic Party, and that they actually feel like they have people to be engaged with.
Right.
I think that's one of the biggest things that's the biggest issue, is people felt like they were no longer engaged.
Yeah.
So here's the folks that are on the committee. It's Suzette McDowell, Evan Taylor, yourself, myself, Peggy Stockwell, Richard Bornhauser,
Yes.
Joshua Babb, Jamie Shelton, and Judy Godwin.
Yeah.
So you mentioned all of them, but you didn't have the names in front of them. I had the names here. So anyway,
this may shock you, but during the meeting, we only call each other by our first names.
Right, exactly. We don't have to know each other's last names. So I get it. But anyway, it's I want to make sure people know that this, like you said, this coming Sunday, if you're a Democrat in Norman or in Cleveland County, please come down to the library. It's the Norman East Library. It's out on Alameda, right? It's right by the fire station. It's just on the east side of Norman. Come out there at 3:00. And it's not going to last all afternoon. It lasts about an hour, maybe a little bit longer, depending on how much we Democrats want to talk. But Jamie's going to run it. You and I are going to be there to talk more about and show people our actual PowerPoint slide on what we've got going so far. And then we're going to actually have question and answers. So people can ask us questions. And here's the great thing about asking questions. We're not going to know all of those questions. And that's the great thing about this, is because people can spur something out of us that we don't know. And we're like, there's an aha moment for us to work on.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that we did this in a vacuum.
Right.
We did have a few people on our committee who were precinct or are precinct officers and stuff.
Right.
And so they had some input to us. Jamie had some, but yeah, the when this hits the streets, we're going to be we're very open to, you guys need to tweak this or that, or you need to get rid of this or that. I mean, we're going to take all of that because we want to make a really good product that is going to be used.
That's right.
We don't want to put something out there that, isn't even going to make a good coffee table book. Right?
Yes. Yeah. Or it finds its way into file 13 real fast.
It ends up on recycle day. So
we want people to be engaged with it, and it's a tool. It's all it is. It's a tool. We've pretty much exhausted our resources. What we want to talk about on that. What else do you want to let people know about that you think is really important for the next coming up until November? We've got a big election in November. I think it's June 21st, I think, is the primaries. We've got, it's so easy to, because the federal
involvement, that takes up a lot of air on the
Right.
in the media and stuff. That we might tend to forget that we also are electing representatives for the state house.
Right. Right.
And I imagine there's some senators also that are up for reelection. So we need to look at those races and be involved. Vote every chance you can.
Right.
In Norman, we've got a vote coming up in February for some of the wards have got elections for city council.
Right.
And those are nonpartisan, but get out and vote. If you're not registered, register.
Yeah, they may be nonpartisan, but we need to vote for our friends too.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And pay attention to the local things. The federal level, we've got Tom Cole up for reelection.
Right.
We've got 2 Democrats that have announced for him. I don't know if there's anyone else running against him, but get to know those candidates so that you're not only voting, but you're an informed voter.
Informed voter. That is a very important statement.
Yeah. And then we have at least two candidates I've heard of were running against Mark Wayne. So
yeah.
We definitely want to get to know them, very well too. So
the fake fake cowboy.
Yeah.
We see through those lies, like he tries to shroud himself in all these lies, but we can see through it like cowboys can see light through a barbed wire fence.
Yeah. If you feel like writing your current representatives and stuff, it's easy to get burned out. I'm kind of burned out on that myself because you're not going to move them, so you just kind of hope that when the tide starts turning, they don't wait too long to join the tide.
Right. Well, I keep hoping that right now we've got Gettner Drummond is running as a Republican, and we've got Charles McCall that's running as a Republican, both of them for governor. Hey, I hope they still have their pictures kissing the butt of Donald Trump all over the place, because when Donald Trump fails, these guys are going to fail too.
Yeah.
And that's going to jump Cindy Munson right up there into the governor's seat.
Yeah.
So
again, it's getting to know your candidates.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if candidates are listening, get out there more to see your constituents and stuff. Have more chats and more get-togethers and things like that. So
give a plug for Coffee with Democrats. Get on here, start talking to people.
Come to talk to Kevin about your platform and why you're the best one, to vote for in the primaries.
So we're going to wind this conversation down, but I want people to know that coming up, starting next week on January 20th, we're going to have Shay Moore is going to be on here talking with about Senate District 10 here in Oklahoma State Senate.
Mm-hmm.
Then on the 27th, we're going to have he's Matt Minter. He's from Maryland, running for House District 6, House District 41 in Baltimore.
Oh, okay.
So we've got a real good group of people. And then, of course, Gina Nelson is going to be on here. I believe it's the 13th of February.
Okay.
So we've got a real good mix of people coming up, and we're going to continue to fill the slots. And we're going to continue every Tuesday to have somebody on here. So that's the plug to all of the candidates out there. Give me a call. Let's get you scheduled.
Yeah.
We want you on here.
Yeah, because I have a lot of questions about, some people I don't know, or
Right.
I don't know very well, and, don't know positions, and I'm sure I'm not alone. So.
Well, thank you very much, Connie. It's been a great to have you on Coffee with Democrats. And again, everybody listen in on for Coffee with Kevin every day. I try to have it out by 8 o'clock in the morning. Sometimes it's 10, but I try to have it out depending on what the family schedule is. Early in the morning, I'm usually up 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning working on what I want to put out for Coffee with Kevin. And then every Tuesday, we're going to have Coffee with Democrats right here, coming from the Cleveland County Democrats office in their multimedia studio. So we're really proud to be here, and we're really proud to showcase this for spreading the Democratic work. Folks, until the next time, we'll see you. And
Thank you.
Please be safe.
Coffee with Democrats is broadcast from the multimedia studio inside the Cleveland County Democrats office with their gracious permission to use the space. Our thanks to the Cleveland County Democrats Central Committee and Chair Jamie Shelton for accommodating our Tuesday night show.